This week I really wanted to challenge myself, so I'm gonna try to do 5 different headlight builds in 5 days. Some of these are probably going to be builds that we have full videos on already, but it's still a challenge to do the videos every day with it. Today is something slightly different that I haven't done before, which is a Kia Soul headlight build. Not only is it a build, but we're also gonna do some restoration because that is pretty ugly right there. We do not want that oxidation all over this thing. Since I've never built a set of these, I actually don't know how these things even open up, but what I did notice that I'm pretty excited about, all of this gray stuff over here is beautiful. It's very malleable, which means we're going to be able to bake these open. Of course, these are the aftermarket ones. I don't know about the stock ones. I don't know if those are going to be able to bake open, but these specific aftermarket lights, I think they're Spider, are able to be baked open. Okay, so to start, we are going to bake these at 220 degrees Fahrenheit for about 8 minutes. You take them out, try to open it, nothing seems to work. We're gonna bump it up just a little bit. Okay, heads up. That little screw right there actually does hold this lens on. It looks like the inner housing is bolted to the lens, and then this little screw was holding that inner housing to the lens itself. So don't break that. Okay, we've got the back housing totally off, which means we can officially just set this guy aside, because all we need to do is work on this part right here. Honestly, all we need to do is just modify all of this from the back. We're gonna take out that reflector and paint that, and then we're going to remove these LED boards here so that we can solder our specific LED strips onto that. Now that we have the LED boards out, we can start to install some LED strips in place where they need to go. I am personally going to start them right here and let it flow this way. And in the app, if we want, we can have it separate out like this. So if we want to do the turn signal where it flows naturally in the direction of the light, we can do that. But I think for the show mode, it will look really good if it flows like this. One thing that I like to do is to cover up the existing LEDs that are on here. Not because these are ever gonna light up again, but because they have the circuits running through these boards and they can actually short out the color shifting LEDs that we install in here. Don't ask me how I know. The LEDs are working, so what we can do is pop them back into the headlight housing. I don't know if you noticed, but what I did do is go ahead and add some goop on the strips just to make sure that they're not gonna go anywhere. I am gonna add it in a few more spots, mostly where our solder points are at. Especially where things might move around, like the beginning strip, huge spot for movement, and then these strips right here where they're gonna have a little bit of bend. We've got our tester Blue Ghost module hooked up so that we can make sure that all of these LEDs are working as they should, and everything is looking really good. But I was worried about all of those supports in there causing issues, but I really can't see any, especially in person. I don't see any dark spots or anything like that. So the customer is going to use this as part of the turn signal. This is also a turn signal down here. But if you notice, it wraps around. Looks really good, but just in case the customer does not want that, we can go ahead and set it up. Now, whenever he turns on his turn signal, it will fire in the correct direction on both of these strips. It's another reason that we love the Blue Ghost module. Obviously, we got that painted reflector back in there. This always looks so much better than that bright orange on the gloss black. So the next step for these is to put them back into the housing. Let's go. Retro rubber. No, we are 3 away from hitting 10,000. Okay, so we've got all these clamps on here. We need to let this fully cool off before we start messing with it. We got our RGB wire, which we will 100% test this before we do anything else to this, but first it's gotta cool off. This light is looking really good, so now we can move on to the other side. I already have it in the oven. We're cooking that up, so now we need to obviously get it out of the oven and build this other side. Once that's completely built out, we can move on to building the harness and cleaning up these lenses, because these lenses are pretty gross. The LEDs and all of the inputs are completely wired up and are ready to be plugged in. The module is over here curing so that it's completely waterproof and already totally wired up. Really, all that we have left is to clean up these lenses. The lenses are really disgusting, so let's go ahead and get to work on that. There we go. We got the lens cleaned up. We got the LEDs installed. We've got the module all wired up and working really well, obviously, but we don't have this other side done yet. I haven't been able to wrap up this side because I am moving pretty quick to try and get this video done. This challenge that I just started is already on top of me here, and I need to go ahead and get this done, and then I can actually wrap up this lens cleaning here because this is pretty gnarly.